November 24th, 2008, at approximately 11:57 a.m., my whole world changed. The most beautiful little boy in the entire world was born, my nephew. It is truly amazing how an innocent baby can change someone in the most mysterious and curious ways. Before this story can begin, I first have to explain how close my sister Allie and I are. We are 6 years apart, but we are best friends. She has and continues to teach me so many things, from how to do my makeup to driving. Allie prepared me for everything, my first day of high school, my first real date, and many more important milestones. She's helped me in many tough situations, such as finishing papers before class the next day, sneaking past mom and dad if I was past curfew, and even talking my parents into letting me visit her when she was at UGA. In 2007, Allie and my brother-in-law Matt got married. The wedding was beautiful. I was the maid of honor. Matt and I are also very close. He was my cheerleading coach for All-Stars. That's how they met, at one of my practices. When she told me she was pregnant, at first I was apprehensive. Everything was happening so fast. As the 9 months went on and on, Allie got bigger and bigger, and I grew more excited and less nervous. It all started the weekend before he was born. I was at a cheerleading competition with my dad. My mom stayed home just in case Allie went into labor, which turns out was actually very smart. I was so nervous that I would miss something, I couldn't even focus on what I was doing. I rushed through warm-ups and was ready for the competition to be over. When we were on deck, my mind was not focused on cheerleading in the least bit. Finally, it was time to compete. We went out on the floor and actually did very well. Right after we got off, I ran to my dad. He said Mom called and we had to go. I told my coach that I couldn't even stay for awards, and we left. We drove from Greenville, South Carolina to Augusta, Georgia in literally an hour and a half. We sped the whole time. When we got there, we went home and changed clothes and headed straight to the hospital. I remember exactly what I was wearing: blue sweatpants and a t-shirt from a 5K race I ran. I was sweaty too because I didn't have time to shower when we got home. After a couple of hours, the doctor sent Allie home because she had gone into labor but wasn't ready to push yet. We all went home and slept for as long as we could. Around 2 o'clock in the morning, my dad ran upstairs and woke me up. He said that it was time to go to the hospital, and this time it was actually going to happen. My cheerleading competition was not the only complication to this overscheduled weekend. On the same morning Mac was born, I had a scheduled surgery to get a birthmark removed. It was a pretty big birthmark, so I had to have laughing gas and was loopy. The surgery was in the same hospital where Mac was being born, but it was scheduled at 9 a.m. Right when I woke up after my surgery, I asked about Allie. My dad said we were going to see her right then. He wheeled me over to that section of the hospital. At this point, it was already 11. I only had to wait about an hour when Matt came out to the waiting room where my whole entire family was and announced with tears rolling down his face that Mac was born. Everybody ran to go see him, but I went to check on my sister. After I had checked on her, I went to see Mac. When I saw him through the glass, I loved him. He was so little. He had strawberry blonde hair and was wrapped up like a little pig in a blanket. He lay there so peacefully. He had a little blue hat on and a wristband with his name on it. I stared at him for what seemed like hours. Eventually, a nurse came and got him and brought him back to Allie. We all went to the room and took turns holding him. When it was my turn, I knew immediately that we had and still have a special connection. I started crying because I was so happy. When my sister saw the bond we had made, she asked me to be his godmother. I was so honored and accepted immediately. I'm used to seeing Mac every day. I've been with him for everything. The first time he walked, his first Christmas, his first birthday, the first time he ate real food, his first tooth, the first day of preschool, the first time he used the big boy body, and many other important adventures for a small child. When I moved to Athens, I wasn't worried about missing my room or my parents and friends, but really, I didn't want to leave him. When I get homesick, it's not because I actually miss my home. I miss him. He's the first person I want to see when I go home, and the one I dread saying goodbye to. This just proves how something or someone, little or big, can affect people in ways that are so unexpected. When someone comes into your life that can change your perspective on everything, like Mac has done to me, you learn to really love them and not take them for granted.